I mean, coming from, I suppose, 2 or 3 years after you, Seb, or a bit longer now, and coming from single seaters to try and get into professional racing, something I'm finding, and I think like what you touched on with saying that you did that year in Pro-Am, is, if I speak from my mindset, I've won a championship in junior racing, I've won races at every level I've been to, and you'd automatically, probably a bit of naivety, think that you could walk into a professional seat in GT endurance racing, and you think, that's just, I know I'm good. Surely they've seen I'm good, but in that world, it's like, well, yeah, we know you're good, but are you good in a GT car? And it's like there's still that question, or sports cars, and it's like, to all intents and purposes, yeah, they think you will be, but they don't know, and kind of they don't want to, it's like you say, it's all data driven, it's all numbers, and if they think there might be any reason why they shouldn't take you, or that you're a bit of a question mark, they won't, and you've got to prove yourself first.
Well, this is a perfect example. I won the British GT Championship in 2017, with Team Parker, backed by M Sport with Bentley. And I just thought I'd walk into the drive the next year, and I didn't have a call, and I was like, "What?" And I pushed and said, "I'd love to come and see you. I've got this and that." And they said, "Yes, Seb, brilliant, well done for winning British GT, but it's not GT World Challenge, and it's not the same level." And I was going, I was going, the same drivers are in it and stuff, and they were saying it's not the same depth of field. It's, the races are short. Are you any good at endurance racing? Blah blah blah. And then I did Daytona in the following January and proved I could do all three of those things. And then, halfway through that next year, I then got invited to do one-off races. So I got invited to do Suzuka. I did well there. And Spa 24 halfway through that year as well. And then only once I'd done well in those test races was I then allowed to, was I then given, the contract. And that was a great day in the office, to have a contract where you get paid to drive a racing car is a very big moment.
Yeah, it's gold dust, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's huge. And yeah, it doesn't come a lot across. Like you say, there's not many drivers. I think with BMW, there's maybe 8 to 10 GT drivers. Obviously, you've got your Formula E guys, and you've got the drivers that specialised in DTM until this year. But it's a very elite and privileged group to be able to get to that sort of stage. So it took me from single seaters as well 2-3 years of proving myself, because when I rocked up in a Carrera Cup car, no one had a clue. They said, "Oh yeah, I know you've done a single seater, but you won't be good in one of these straight away." And to be fair, they were right, and I struggled a little bit.
I thought you were going to say they were wrong.
No, they were right. The first half of the year in 2016, jumping from GP2 and doing some F1 testing to a Carrera Cup car with no ABS, no grip, no traction control. I struggled for the first half a year, and then
it's the weight as well of the car, isn't it? You have to load the car up before you turn a GT. So when you're going into a corner, you've got to give it a bit of that, and then just go, right, okay, there's some weight come across, I'll now turn.
Yeah, I did that. Sorry, I did that in Oschersleben, my first test. The quick chicane.
Yes.
I was like building up, and I was like at maybe half a second off the reference, and I was like, "Oh, I'm missing the time there." So I fired it in there like a single seater. Man, I had the biggest spin. I was just, and I was like, "Oh, okay, maybe I don't do it like that then." So it's crack on, Alex. It'd be interesting to hear what you've got to say about weight transfer from bikes. Yeah,
I was just gonna say, because Jake's maybe making that transition from single seaters to having a roof over his head. Like, what were the biggest, for Seb and Nick, what were the biggest changes you two had to make to your driving styles to be able to get the most out of something, with a roof over your head?
Well, but basically with the GT3 cars, the biggest issue I had was that I couldn't find time on braking, because I was always last to late breakers. I mean, I'm not good at many things, but I've got a set of bollocks between my legs. So let's put it that way. So, I found that very difficult. And, as I said about the Daytona car, I like coming out of corners sideways. I think I would have been very good in the 80s myself, both on the dance floor and on the racetrack. but because it was all about traction control and your TC settings and ABS, I found it really held me back. And I found, still to this day, it actually takes a while to be able to learn how to hustle a car with all those assists and sort of learn to drive with those assists. And then you can really start hustling it. And I remember looking at some of Jules's Jules Gounon's qualifying laps, and he was absolutely hustling it, and he was completely sideways in some places. But because he was on the power and the TC was cutting, and then the TC was ready to kick in, he would learn to drive around the TC and the ABS while the thing was going completely sideways. And it took me a while to learn that, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. ABS and TC, it's about learning how you can most extract the lap time using those. I mean, it depends on which car. Obviously, I drive a BMW M6 and Seb drove the Bentley Continental, and each of those have different type of ABS settings, mapping settings, traction control settings. And it's about whatever car Jake jumps into to just go and try and come out of a corner and sit in the TC and get used to how that feels. That's what I tended to do with the M6 anyways, go out of a corner and get sideways and forget the lap and just sit in it and feel how I could drive around it. So I'm able to sit in it, particularly when the tyre gets older, but making the most out of lap time. And once I got that, then I became fast.
Yeah, what I found in the Bentley is that you can't really feel where sometimes it would have a big snap here and there. And I was wondering, is this me on the edge of grip, or is it the TC cutting? So when I then got really confident, I used to go out on my first couple laps and just turn the TC completely off. And I know that's, it's really, if Bentley found that out, I was doing that, they'd probably go mad because, it's very unsafe. But that I felt I needed to just know, is it me wheel spinning this car, or is it the TC? And I just used to go out of the box, turn it off or right down and just nail it and just feel where the grip was. Because I find it, a lot of people can get up to speed, to be half a second off quite quickly. But once you're within that half a second of pole, it's that last half a second, which is then about the finesse of tuning the TC and knowing if you are on the edge of grip or not. Yeah.
So you almost do that to get the feeling of the car. Because do you find it gives you a numb sensation?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. You sometimes you come out of a corner and the TC will be cutting, but you don't know if that's because you've had a little slide and the TC is sort of catching up with that slide and it then starts cutting you. Or you don't know if your wheels are actually still spinning, and it's hard. It takes a long time. I say years to really learn a car to know what it's doing and when, with regards to all these systems and things like that.
Completely.
Can't wait.
I've never heard someone sound so positive about it.